coach, are there adjustments that you need to make in this new conference, especially when you go up against a team or a coach that you haven't faced before, or new venues, or is it just business as usual?
Yeah, to me, it's probably more business as usual. You look at the game as it presents itself, and you watch the film, you look at the team, and you figure out. For us, it's 90% plus of what we do, and doing that to the best of our ability. And then certainly we respect our opponents, and there's 10% that hey, this guy's a great shooter. This team tries to play through the post. Those sort of things we incorporate, but. I've never really looked at, being in the league when we had 10 teams, 16 teams, 14 teams. I hadn't looked at it differently, to be honest, of just focus on the practice the day that we have it, focus on the game that comes, and then the next thing will get to the next thing. So right now all of our focus is on, on the game with Arizona State and continue to do what we need to do to be at our best on Saturday.
And what are your impressions of them, and what have you seen so far?
Yeah, they play extremely hard. Their front line, very gifted, with both Quentin and, Jihad, like both of those guys play really hard, inside, outside, physical, tough players. Personnel-wise, Miller really can shoot the ball. I've been familiar with him for a while, and Freeman's kind of a guy that can get baskets. So they're a team, I think, that they play hard. They compete on the glass. They'll get up and down in transition. They really can score in spurts. They've got ability to get it going quick, and they've got some gifted personnel that, if you're not very intentional with your pressure defensively, they can create some matchup issues and get baskets.
You talked about the front line, and you guys have gone against a good string of shot blockers for protectors here of late. Do you feel like you've seen your guards maybe find ways to finish more effectively around that? Obviously, Keyshawn and Taman both had pretty good games against UCF.
Yeah, I think the number one thing is in pick and roll, when we have a screen, having a physical screen, get set, hold the screen, create the ability for the guard to get downhill, create advantage situation where it's 2-on-1, 3-on-2. When we're in that spot, then it makes it tougher on the big. As a rim protector, does he fully commit to the basketball? Is he trying to play two? At what point does he make the decision to go from one to the other? So that's where we've tried to really adjust. We're fortunate, Kurt's really gifted with that floater, getting to his spots, and Keyshawn's probably as gifted as any guard, finishing downhill through contact. So fortunate to have guys that can do that. Also fortunate that our frontline guys catch, finish, have skill in there as well. So it makes it a tough set of choices for our opponent when we are able to get in there, even if they have that length and rim protection.
How advantageous is it that Curtis has a floater game, Keyshawn can creatively finish, and Taman's always willing to take contact and get fouled? To have three different guys who can finish different ways in the paint around length.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think to have, because all three of them make plays, all three of them get a lot of assists, all three of them, do things in the way that they do it, and each one is unique, and they're all effective. So it's certainly a benefit to our offense and what's allowed us to be effective, getting points in the rim or at the rim and in the paint and getting to the foul line.
How fully formed was that floater aspect for Curtis coming in? Because it seems like over time we've seen it deployed in games more effectively, exponentially from game to game.
Well, I'd say like other teams, trying to overclose and taking his threes away opens the floor more naturally for him as well. And then, he's got such great touch that, I feel like you come into it saying, our opponents are saying, like, let's take Kurt Jones' threes away. Well, when you do that, you're going to open the floor for him. He's a high assist guy, 3-to-1 plus assist to turnover, and he's got that floater in there. So I think it's something that he's continued. You can work on it, and you can do it in the gym and in individual workouts and all those things, but to be able to do it the way he does in the game in those moments is it's really a great thing for us. So something we'll continue to lean into, and I think for him it's about running offense for our team and getting the best shot we can, and a big part of that is Kurt getting to that play.
Taman now has a thumb deal. At what point is he just not even like Taman is Taman? Yeah, no.
Taman's such a unique breed that I think he, unfortunately, over time has endured so many different things. But what he's done is he's so mentally tough, and his body, follows his mind. And so we never take for granted, ever, 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 what Taman does, how he lays it on the line for our team, our program, himself, what he does, and to the extent because he takes so much contact too. I mean, it's like, if you were to say, well, why do those things happen? Because he's as physical of a player as that I've ever been around, guard or big. And it's such a positive. You don't want to tell him, hey, tone it down a little, or, it's my responsibility to do best for him in terms of how we manage that when it comes to practices and things along those lines, so that the contact doesn't become excessive. But I'd say whether it's the thumb or, we could talk about anything that's happened over the last 3 years, I don't take it for granted, but I recognize that in most cases, things that he's playing with would hinder others from playing well, and most probably wouldn't play. But Taman has developed a mental toughness and fortitude to compete through those things.
In terms of like the injuries or ailments, I guess we'll call them, affecting his play, does it, or does he? It seems like maybe he just does something differently. Like you don't see him use his left hand as much this year, I'm assuming, because of the shoulder, and then with the thumb, like, does he just have to adjust? Or
yeah, he has an uncanny ability of being able to adapt, and because he affects winning in so many different ways, you feel like even within the realm of games, he's finding a play or a way to make a play that nobody else can make out there. And so I do think he's got he calibrates it mentally of, okay, I can do this, here's the things I can bring to help my team win, and he has such an unbelievable ability to do that. And I think, people talk about point guards all the time needing, what does my team need from me, or what can I do? And Taman has that ability better than anybody could ever have it, because he's totally adapting and adjusting at all times to the things he can be effective on a given night.
what's the downstream effect, I guess, on the other guys seeing him play that way? That, I would imagine sets a bar of responsibility pretty high for the other 13 guys.
Yeah, I do. I think our guys realize that, he practices, he plays, he does things that it does set a standard. And I think so many times we want to do the best job that we can, with our guys' health, their well-being, how their body's feeling, all those things going into the games. And I also still feel like some are able to compartmentalize ailment, hurt, whatever may be going on, and still play extremely effectively. And I think it does set a standard that's very high, and it also, I think, makes Taman's teammates play harder for him, appreciate him more, and be more like locked in, bought in, because they know what he's doing and what he's playing through and how he's continuing to help the team win. So I feel like, man, you feel like everybody else is accountable to that as well.
Is that part of the reason you called the UCF game your favorite play, the one where he gets rewarded with the three? Not only did he get rewarded with the attempt, but he makes the shot and completes that whole sequence.
Yeah, and I think you look at, teams and you say, okay, when this team is to play well, what are the things that consistently happen? And I think Taman is able to make Taman plays that nobody else can make. Chase down a loose ball, get that offensive rebound. And so I think in the realm of, as he's, dealing with whatever he's dealing with, making that play galvanizes our team, energizes our team. Everybody in our team knows in our wins, our big wins, our best performances, Taman makes that play consistently. So the first time he makes it, I think it takes our team confidence to a whole nother level. It wasn't just that it was the second offensive rebound of possession and we scored the ball. I think it's everybody out there saying, man, if Taman can make that play right now and do what he's doing, what can I do, or what can we do, or how can we do this together? So it's far more valuable than just the 2-point field goal, because it's a inspiring energy play that uplifts everybody in our program.
Like earlier in the year, he was hesitating or even just passing up pretty good looks from three that isn't happening anymore. He's catching and shooting good looks. Is that something you guys had to talk to him about, or did he realize, if I don't shoot this, I'm going to see what I saw 2 years ago defensively?
Yeah, I think the tough part is he's able so often to just get in the paint and make plays, and then especially it comes down to decisions that other teams make. And so I think, at the start of the year, if you're him, you're like, well, I can get in the paint whenever I want. That's where I feel like my greatest strength is. And then even though I can make shots, I don't necessarily have to do that to help my team win. Well, as you get into league play and teams know personnel better and you're playing against more quickness, more length, more athleticism, the choices that they make, and then are putting him in a spot where it's like, all right, well now we're taking some of those drives away, we're shutting down some of those angles or plays that you were making. And so I think Taman puts a tremendous amount of work into his shooting every single day, getting shots up in rhythm and getting his feet set. And so we want to continue to challenge him and say, hey, look, you're capable of this. We're going to demand this. Get your feet set. Be ready to knock that shot down. He's done a tremendous job of doing that, but I also feel like how Taman's mind works, hey, do we need me to do this tonight? I'll do it. It's just like the injury thing. If we need me to make hustle plays, I'll do those. So I think it's his ability to say, hey, tonight this is something that's necessary, so I'm a winner, I'm a competitor, I'm going to put my focus on this and make this go my way.
You seem to change your substitution pattern early in Tuesday's game, bringing Nate in closer to the 14:30 mark after the first media timeout. What kind of led to that decision, and how do you feel like you respond from it?
I just, more than anything, want to keep you guys on your toes because everybody's been talking about our substitution pattern and how we do it. And so I wanted to make sure that everything you wrote 2 weeks ago became totally false and no longer went to that. But no, I'd say, look, it's just knowing your team and what's important. I think for Taman specifically, allowing him to play a little more through that first media and hopefully develop a rhythm and get going a little bit is a factor in the equation. Certainly, it's no secret on our front line that we try to, get those guys in every 2.5 minutes to keep a fresh body with tremendous energy coming at you. So we do it that way. And, and then there's certainly a factor of, for the last 2 years, when you have a guy like Kurt Jones coming off the bench and you say, all right, we got to get this guy in the game as fast as possible. So I don't know that it's necessarily a ton of, over-analysis has been put into it of just like, all right, this is our group now. As Milan's out, what makes sense with this group? Great. And then we'll continue to evolve depending on, the group that we have available for a given night.
How do you feel like Nate responded to an adjustment in his role?
Yeah, man, I think he's done great. I mean, he knows that we're going to continue to lean into his ability to make plays and knock down shots. We all know he can really defend and rebound and makes hustle plays, but he's a lot better player than just, one side of the ball. And he certainly proved that at his previous spot, what he could do offensively. We've seen him prove it on the practice court and what he does. So now it's really just saying, hey, the same thing you've always done, the same thing you do in practice, we need that in the game as well. So get your feet ready, be ready to knock it down, be ready to attack closeouts. And but it was great to see him, knock down a three, make some plays at the rim, and we'll continue to need that moving forward.
This team seems to have a pretty steady presence of mind, not getting too far ahead of themselves. How much of an advantage is that going into a lengthy road trip, knowing you have a quick turnaround between games?
Yeah, I mean, look, at the start of it, I think our guys do a great job just keeping their focus on, hey, this is not a road trip, this is a game on Saturday. And until we complete that game Saturday, then it's not, that's when it becomes a road trip, right, or a couple game swing. But at this point, all the focus needs to be on being successful on Saturday at noon. And our guys, I think they understand the importance of doing that because, we practice that way, we prepare that way, and I think mentally that's the mindset that we really work to cultivate.
Where does Taman's mental toughness come from?
Taman's mental toughness, I would say it comes from his mom and dad. I think like they are tremendous people. He's got a great foundation. They are, I just think like he knows they love him and they support him, but yet they don't like hover. They let him be him and do the things that he does. And so I think that really has allowed him over time that blend of care, but also, you know what, son, you can do this. And that's something that they deserve all the credit for, and their foundation that they've created for him, because he is so unique that way. And I think that it helps him. It certainly serves our program. It's going to benefit him in basketball afterwards, because you just don't see that. Like he's a once in a forever type of guy when you talk about the level of mental toughness he has and physical toughness that he has. I've done this almost 20 years at this level, and can, there's been some guys that have those skills. Taman's Taman's kind of on his own line in terms of his ability to do that, and I think mom and dad deserve a lot of credit for that.
This question doesn't align necessarily with focusing one game at a time, I guess.
Perfect.
But obviously, quick turnaround Saturday to Monday, that's what the NCAA tournament schedule could look like. Is this kind of experience of a Saturday, Monday turnaround something that can be valuable for you guys moving forward?
We'll find out if we win the games. I'd say it's going to be very valuable. If we're not to be successful on Saturday, we won't have to worry about it, because if it was the NCAA tournament, we'd already be home. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just think that during the course of the year, people look at a 1-day prep, a 2-day prep, a 3-day prep. I don't know. Like, that's not really how we look at it as much. We just look at it as this is the job that we have in front of us, and this is what we need to do, prepare for this opportunity, and let's put the focus on that. So regardless of conference tournaments, postseason tournaments, or whatever other event, I'd say we're looking at this like, let's win this game Saturday, let's focus everything on Saturday, and we'll worry about anything beyond that when we get to that point.
With Demarion's play as of late, how do you always show him glimpses of that in practice, or is this kind of like a pleasant surprise with the way he's been able to rise to the occasion lately?
Well, we've seen Demarion over the last 3 years, when we've really leaned into counting on him, that he stepped up for us. I would say that, for him, he's a tremendous character guy. He's a great culture teammate guy. And look, I think when he has the urgency that we saw in the game the other night, he definitely makes our team better, and he becomes a very important guy to have on the court. And I think for him, it's continuing, even though it's been unpredictable in terms of playing time, it's being able to say mentally and how you prepare, that's what I'm going to do when my number is called and my name is called. And just like for the other guys, like if he's able to do that at the best of his ability, certainly we're going to call upon him even more, right? And so I thought like he had a really good game and had impactful energy. It's not just, making the shots great, but I think when he gets offensive rebounds, when he cuts the score and he makes plays, our guys get really excited for him because he is such a great teammate. So I think it's him continuing to focus on doing those things, and my guess would be is doing them well will promote more opportunities in the future.
What was your evaluation of the play against UCF where Nate gets the ball, passes up an open three, it comes back around to him, and he knocks it down later in the possession?
Yeah, probably somewhere along the lines of, we wanted you to shoot the first one, you're lucky you made the second one, because otherwise we would have had to address that. So it's sometimes as a player, there's things that happen in the game that might not be exactly what you want as a coach. And what we tell our guys is it's not about, like, if you make the mistake, whether it's a physical or mental mistake, responsibility is corrected immediately. He was fortunate in that case that he corrected it immediately, so we didn't have to discuss it at length.
A no, yes.
Well, I want him to shoot it. I want him to shoot the first one, and then probably drive it if he wasn't going to shoot it. But again, fortunate it came back to him. Fortunately, he knocked it in, and we're going to continue to demand that moving forward.